Hey Film Nuts, how's it going? Coming back with another video of Joker. I know a lot of people have seen this movie and have reviewed it, but I haven't, so I wanted to come out and give my opinion, see what you guys feel, and if you have anything to discuss about the film, comment in the sections, and we'll get that going. For the most part, I've seen this movie numerous times, and it's such a great movie that I feel like a lot of people are missing the actual point of the movie, and it has to deal with mental illness, and it's not a thing that you can take lightly or take heavily or anything like that. Um, but I do think that this movie is going to bring a lot of different aspects of way that the comic book industry is going to go with these movies, because it's such a big deal, because even before wide release, even before release, this movie had a lot of baggage going into it, that the media was a big part of it, a big part of it. The media was telling everybody that this movie was too violent, that this movie was gonna bring out, uh, sorry to get a little controversial, mass shootings. We live in Colorado. I live in Colorado. We've had, a couple mass shootings that have happened in the past, that a lot of people were afraid of, that this movie was going to bring in reality. And I just have to say that it is, without a doubt, the biggest lie that I've ever seen or have ever heard of about a movie. I mean, yes, like I said, we've had, um, you know, numerous people that have done that, and took in a persona of the character esque of the movie. But that's not really what happened in reality. So let's dive into the movie. Does anybody remember when the Joker used to be funny? Like, he used to be funny, even though that he used to have a gun to your head, but it was still affectionate, and it seemed like he had a good time while he was over there tormenting you. And that's when you get into the Joker esque character of Cesar Romero from the Adam West series. Without a doubt, the best series of that time, of that era, that I've ever seen. Besides, Wonder Woman, Linda Carter. We see a lot of different adaptations, a lot of different versions of Joker or the Joker. And the very two top movies that I have taken from Joker, Joaquin Phoenix Joker, is Kings of Comedy and The Killing Joke. Now, Kings of Comedy I've seen maybe, 3 4 times, when I was a kid, and when I was a teenager. But the number one movie that really comes to mind when I really think about the Joaquin Phoenix version of Joker is The Killing Joke. And in that movie, it's very complicated, but it's not. He has this character that is trying to play him, but it's not really Joker. It's not the Joker, or the Joker that we know from the comics. And what that does is it plays off of a lot of things that aren't real, and a lot of things that are real. And I think that's why this Joker movie, or Joker, is a very, very big part of what DC is trying to do. Yes, it's not it's not your typical comic book movie. honestly, it's really not. It's to me, it's more of a character study. It's a character study of how a mental illness person deals with society, deals with, the governor, the government, um, or anything in that fashion. And then when you have that character that is so driven by of wanting attention, of wanting, just to be in the spotlight. And that's where you get the camaraderie, and that's where you get the comparisons with King's Comedy. I don't know if you guys know, King's Comedy was a heavily influenced movie by Joker. Robert De Niro plays Ruben Pupkin. He's a very, very delusional, mental ill person, that he's in his room talking, to a wall, talking to statues and whatnot. But he thinks that he's actually in the movie, or actually on the show, with his favorite talk show host. And in that movie, he takes him hostage. He has a lot of things to unpack, that it's all in his head. It's all in his head. He gets, he's on the talk show. He's at dinner with his with his favorite talk show host, and that right there really, really plays off of Joker. We see at the very beginning, at the very first frame, that this Arthur Fleck, Joker, his alter ego, he has a lot to unpack. You know what I mean? He has a lot to unpack. He's on seven to several different medications, and he's talking to his therapist, and his therapist is saying, "Hey, we got to make some cuts. We got some cuts coming in, and there's gonna be, we're not gonna be able to see each other. I'm not gonna be to see you as much as I want to, or as much as you want to see me." So we see that he is not stable from the very first scene, like from the very first scene. And honestly, I just have to cut in. There is not one scene in this movie that does not have Joaquin Phoenix, Arthur Fleck, Joker. He is pretty much in every single scene in this movie. And I really do think that plays off of the delusional part, hallucination, and the schizophrenia. Those are the three main things that I see in this movie that really take me out of it, but really brings me into it. That really, I have, like, it gives me a sensibility that it's not all reality, that it's all in his head, that it's all in his head. From the first 15-20 minutes, for actually the first, 15 minutes of the movie, we see Arthur with his mom going home to the pharmacy. He's going home, and he goes into his mom's room, gives her dinner, and they watch their favorite talk show host, Murray Franklin, which is played by Robert De Niro from Kings of Comedy, coming into fruition. So when he is watching the talk show host, when he's watching Murray Franklin, he's doing his bit, he's doing the show, and the camera, like, it's very weird. The camera turns, and it looks at Arthur, and then it goes into the the Murray Franklin show. And that right there was the very first clue that I knew that all of this stuff that was shown in the movie was not reality. Was not real. Not a part of it is. We'll get into that later. But from that very first frame, it showed me that this is a guy that is fantasizing. He's just fantasizing all about um his favorite people that he likes. He's fantasizing about this girl that he likes, that's played by Zazie Beetz, Sophie Diamond as her character in the movie. and phenomenal actress, by the way, phenomenal actress. She's very, very good. Um, but like I said, the camera itself, it shows the delusional part of how Arthur Fleck really believes that he is in the show, that he's in the show, that he's talking to Murray Franklin, saying that, how much he would give up, this entire show to have a child like him, or to have a kid like him, or have a son like him. And then it quickly cuts out to him just sitting on the bed with his mom. And that right there, I was like, okay, we're going to be here for a roller coaster ride. Because of the schizophrenia, the delusional, and the hallucinations that happen all around him. At the, maybe, halfway point, we see, Arthur get, beat up by these, interns at Wayne Industries, the Wayne Tower. That right there, that scene, it's very controversial because, and leaving in the comment section, doesn't a revolver have maybe what 5-6 bullets? In that scene alone, Joker fires off at least eight to 9 shots. Now right there, I'm not a big gun enthusiast, and I'm don't have guns or anything like that, but it did not make sense when he shot. And spoiler alert, sorry, I should have said it at the beginning of the video. When he kills those guys from the Wayne Industry, from the Wayne Tower, those 3 frat boys, if you will, there is multiple shots that go off that really did not click in my head until I actually, maybe about like the second or third viewing of the movie. But other than that, it just, from the camaraderie that Joker has, or I'm sorry, Arthur Fleck, that he believes that he made a movement, is where we actually get into the delusional, into the schizophrenia and hallucination part of the whole entire movie, honestly. And that's what I mean why it did not make sense of some of the things that he was saying, but wasn't really actually shown on camera. And now you have all these people, especially comic book fans. I love comic books, and I have to like agree to disagree with these comic book fans, because they're this isn't the Joker. It's not the Joker. Well, honestly, it's very up for interpretation. It's up there for grabs. It's not a comic book movie. It's more of a, like I said, it's more of a character study. It's more of a character study of how a mental ill person like Arthur Fleck can just have a one bad day, or in his case, having a bad life that led to him actually doing these horrific crimes. There's one particular scene that I love in The Killing Joke, and it's towards the end, when Batman captures Joker, in the animated Killing Joke, and even in the comic books. There's one line, and I'm not gonna quote it word for word. I'm gonna mess up on it. That's fine. Joker says, like, if I had to choose a past, I'd rather it be multiple choice. I feel like this is one of those multiple choices. There is no groundbreaking evidence that Arthur Fleck, Joker persona or his alter ego, actually sent a movement. If you actually look frame by frame in the trailers, actually in the movie, there is part of the movie that it shows the clown persona or the clown aspect, but it's actually going into poverty. It's actually going into how Gotham is losing money, how Gotham is rotting, Gotham is wallowing in trash. And that is why I have to give Todd Phillips, director of this movie, director of, many other films that we have seen in the past decade, in the past couple of years actually. He's not shy from the dark humor or from the violence or anything like that. So that's why I think that he was so perfect for this movie. He was so perfect. The way he shot this movie, oh my, oh my god. I've never seen anything like this on a grand spectacle without visual effects. And it really shows. It really shows. There's great camera work. I don't understand, and I mean I get it, but the way that he shot this movie, it wasn't supposed to be a comic book movie. Like I said, it's more of a character study. And and a lot of people like to say, well, it's not a Joker movie. This is a Joker movie. Fully 100% a Joker movie. Like I said, from The Killing Joke, there is that one line that always sticks with me. Even before, during, and after I watch Joker, it just always sticks with me. He has that sense of ability to come out and say, yeah, I am crazy, but don't call me that. That is where we get into the Heath Ledger Joker. Talked about Cesar Romero, him being the comedic comedy of the Joker, but that's where we get into, Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger did a phenomenal job at being the Joker. One of the best and most memorable performances that everyone will enjoy and love and like, maybe even dislike, maybe even hate. That's fine, whatever. But the way Heath Ledger's Joker played off and banked off of him having a different life or a different persona, really played into the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. There's two scenes in The Dark Knight that he really plays it off, and comes out and says, something about his mom, something about his dad. Those are the two main plot points that were in the movie, but he changed the dialogue. He changed the way that he was talking. He changed his mom's backstory. He changed his dad's backstory. Come to the conclusion, and I've always known this from the comics, the Joker or the Joker is an unreliable narrator. He's an unreliable narrator to his own stories. And he either is telling a lie or he's telling a fib, for a bit or for a gig that he has to do, trying to make people laugh, ha ha ha, this and that. That is why I think this movie is such yes, with the critical praise, with the Oscar talks, and the standing ovations and everything that was collaborated after it got released, actually before it got released. Um, but there is a lot of evidence that I believe that is all half part of the movie, not half. Part of the movie is all in his head. Like I said, from the first 15 minutes, we see that he is not all in his head. He's thinking and being delusional that he's actually on the Murray Franklin show. There are other evidence that suggests that it is in his head. There are the cutscenes that come into come into play that are showing Zazie Beetz' character, Sophia Diamond. She's not with him. She's not with him eating at the diner. She's not with him at the comedy club. She's not with him at the hospital. So you really have to really dive deep into Arthur Fleck and his diagnosis. I forgot what the real term was, but it's an uncontrollable laugh disorder. That it's actually a diagnosis that some people with mental illness actually have. I'm sorry. that it's an uncontrollable laugh that it cuts in and out, and you do see that in the trailer, you do see that in the movie. So I really do think that Joaquin Phoenix really, really studied a lot from that, and really, really brought a great, great, great performance. You know what I mean? Um, you know, from the camera work. You know, I'm not talking about CG fights. I'm not talking about CG battles that you see in Transformers. I'm gonna go as far as a far stretch to say that, from Avengers Endgame. No, 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 no. I'm not talking about camera work like that. I'm talking about beautiful compositions. The filters that Todd Phillips used in some of these scenes was just breathtaking. Breathtaking. I've never seen trash look so clean. Like when you think of trash, you think of trash. But when you watch this movie, you see the trash, and like I said, the Gotham, Gotham City is wallowing in depression. They're very, very down and dirty. They're depressed. There's a very, very great sense of that there isn't a sense of hope in Gotham. And I love the fact that Todd Phillips did that, because it really shows the grime, the gritty and the dirtiness of Gotham. And it shows that the one percenters, like Thomas Wayne, the government, the governor, the mayor, of Gotham, they're not really into what is happening around society. They're not really into what's happening inside their system. They're mostly, working for them. And that's very understandable, coming from a comic book, page by page, if you will. That's exactly what happens in the comics. But when it comes to film, it really doesn't flesh out that well, and that's what I think I'm sorry. That's why I feel Thomas Wayne was a big part of this movie, a huge role in this part of this movie. The Wayne family, not so much Martha, but Thomas himself. We get to see Thomas Wayne being a going after, pretty much going after these people that are living in poverty. You know, he even says it himself. These people are clowns. So I really, really do believe that Arthur Fleck really took that personally and took on the Joker persona after he killed those guys from the Wayne industry. That's when we actually see him coming into the character as Joker, or the Joker. But keep in mind, it's all in his head. It's all in his head. The scene that really, really got me was when he goes to confront Thomas Wayne in the bathroom. Very awkward. But he confronts him and he says, you're my dad. And he's like, me and my mom, Penny, we need help. We need really, and oh my God, Frances Conroy, she did a phenomenal job at playing Arthur Fleck's mother, Penny Fleck. She was so earnest, and she was just very humble in her character, and she never shied away of telling the truth. She tells Arthur, you tell jokes. What? Who said that you're funny? You got to be funny to tell jokes. I think that's all. It really gets to him. It really gets to him. Everything that his mom is saying, everything that the people are saying from his work and stuff like that. It really gets to him. So when he finally finds out what happened to him, and he kind of thinks like, oh, this guy's just Thomas Wayne is telling me, I'm that your mom adopted you. I'm not your father, even though that she might be your mom, that she might be your adopted mom. So he goes, to Arkham State Hospital, which I don't understand how they did that, but it was a great shot of that hospital that I really, really wanted to see ever since, from the comics, going into live action like this. Because we really haven't had that yet. They did show it part in, the Batman Begins and from from Batman 89, but that was an animated series. But I really, really do like how Todd Phillips really, really shot this movie. When Joker actually finds and figures out, and he's looking through the files, and I don't believe that those files were doctored. I don't believe, not for 1 second, that those files were doctored into making him believe that he was just that he was okay. I really do believe that his mom, Penny, really adopted him and had an abusive boyfriend that abused him, was neglecting him, and was, he was tied to a radiator that they say in the movie, which is very horrific. And then, you look at his mom, Penny, and she's an unreliable narrator too. She's very unreliable, that you don't like when you watch the movie, you kind of feel like that she's telling the truth about these letters, that Thomas Wayne was going to help them and stuff like that. But then when you read some of the letters, it's more of like, I'm sick. It's not saying that, she does say that, me, your son and I need your help, but it's not into the sense of like how the trailers were trying to make it out to be, that Penny was I'm sorry, that Thomas was actually married to Penny. And that's where we get those documents, and I really do believe that those documents really, really have a halt on why we have this movie. It's like I said from the very beginning, it's a character study. It's a character study about mental illness, about how a mental ill person like Arthur Fleck can have a one bad day, or in this case, like I said, his life. He was battered, he was abused, and that's where we get into the hallucination, the schizophrenia, the delusion part of the movie. You see a lot of scenes that cut back and go into a transition, and like a transition, and there is a like I said, there is a halt on that part, because you do see a progression of where he is, where he was, and where he's going to become. And I think that's why it's such a phenomenal movie of telling a great story about mental illness. That the Joker is not just all about just chaos. It's not all about just, from Heath Ledger's perspective, from his Joker, he was all about chaos. There was nothing funny about that character. There was nothing funny about him making jokes about, even though that he knew that it was a joke, it wasn't funny to him. It wasn't funny. It wasn't, you know, you cannot, in that case, you cannot call a crazy person crazy. Like, that's how his brain works. Even though that he knows that he's crazy, he doesn't like to be called crazy. And that's where I love the scene in The Dark Knight where he's talking to Batman, and he's like, Batman, he says something, you kill for money. He's like, don't talk like one of them, because you're not, even if you like to be. Even if you like to be. I took that into consideration. Even if you like to be. That part right there really, really, really set me off into a frenzy, if you will, going deep, 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 deep into the discussion of how the Joker actually ticks. You know what I mean? How he ticks, how he has this swab, this swag that he has to him. And like I said, you do see it from the Heath Ledger's perspective from The Dark Knight, but you really, really, honestly get to see it from the Joaquin Phoenix version of Joker. You get to see that he, like I said, there is a progression, and you may not like it, but it's there. It's there, and the movie does not shy away from not telling the truth or from not actually saying that this is real or it's not. And that is why Kings of Comedy, directed by Martin Scorsese, that was heavily influenced by this movie. You see in Kings of Comedy, Rupert Pumpkin having these delusional thoughts in his head that he's talking to the talk show host, but he's actually in his room. He's in his room, he's talking to a blank wall, he's talking to statues. And that's where you get, a side-by-side shot of Kings of Comedy and of Joker. There are a lot of scenes in this movie of Joker that, like I said, from the Thomas Wayne, when he goes to confront Thomas Wayne in the bathroom, Thomas is, having to tell him, I'm not your father, you're adopted, and then he just uncontrollably laughs. Like I said, I forgot the actual term, but it's an uncontrollable laugh that he cannot stop. So Thomas Wayne, thought it was, like kind of like melancholy. It was irony that he thought it was a joke, that he did not understand the joke. So he punches him. He punches Arthur Fleck right in the nose, and then you see Arthur, go like that with his nose because he got hit in the nose with the blood and everything, and then he puts his hands on the sink. And that is why I love this edit. I love the editing that they did with this movie, because I really pay attention to editing, from like jumping scene to scene. When you have a scene like that, it did not go from a different frame rate or a different frame to tell a different part of the story. It was actually Arthur thinking and having a delusional thought that he actually went to the Wayne, or to the protest, and went to the theater to confront Thomas Wayne. Like I said, he punches him, and he wipes off his nose, and then he puts his hands on the sink, and the very, very next scene is Arthur Fleck has his hands on a counter at his home. And that is why I think that at the beginning of the movie, you see the one part of Arthur Fleck being in the clown makeup and having the hair and whatnot. In that version of his version of having the makeup on, it's grimy, it's dirty. No one believes him. No one is really trusting of what he says. Even though that he knows that he's telling the truth, no one believes him. But when he actually takes on the other makeup of the Joker persona, ego, you see that he is very confident. He's dancing. He's not giving. He's not caring. He's not caring about who he hurts, who hurts him, or anything like that. You see that very heavily when you see those two cops get bum rushed by all of those protesters, from in the clown makeup. If that wasn't the case, I do believe that Todd Phillips would not have actually made this movie. Like, honestly, I do believe that Joaquin Phoenix would not have signed on this movie if they didn't believe that it was going to bank off of other different versions of Joker going into just one main canon version of Joker. And that's why I keep seeing The Killing Joke. I'll say it again, he says that, if I choose a pass, I'd rather be multiple choice. And I do believe that this is one of those multiple choices. You do see like I said, there is a progression. He's very confident in what he's doing, what he's saying, and when he actually becomes the Joker or Joker, it is after the fact that he knew or found out that he was abused and that he didn't have a place in the world. Honestly, at that at that point in time, he was a Fleck, and he thought that he was a Wayne. So when he actually takes on the Joker persona, he is a blank slate character. And that is why he goes up to Robert De Niro's character, Murray Franklin, in Joker, says, can and it really plays off of King's Comedy. Rupert Pumpkin says the exact same thing. He gives him the script and the dialogue. And he's like, I want him to say this. I want him to do this. I want him to come out to the audience and say that this is this guy. And you see that play by play when Arthur Fleck asks Murray Franklin, hey, when you introduce me, can you introduce me as Joker? And I love that part. I love that part because, like I said, it really plays off of the Rupert Pumpkin from being this delusional character, this delusional person that believes that he's actually talking to other people when he's just talking to a wall. So that right there really, really played off good. Um, and what I really, really love about that for like the last 40 minutes, you get to see that Arthur Fleck is not in his right state of mind. We've already just established that from the very beginning of the movie. But when he gets that phone call, he has this different spark. He has this different spark in him. He doesn't seem like he's that depressed. He doesn't seem like he's that sad. All the letters that Penny wrote Thomas, even in Arthur's journal, I'm he's a good boy, but he's sad. And there's one part, and I shot it frame by frame. I saw that he wrote in his journal, I'm sad, but I'm a good boy. He's a good boy, but he was sad. So it really plays off the camaraderie. It's more melancholy than anything, because it's the irony that really plays off of the one point that's there, but it introverts, and it comes in to say, hey, we know that this is not real, but we're gonna play it off into making you think that it is real. And that's where you get the like I said, the last, like, what, 40-30 minutes of the movie. He's on the Murray Franklin show. Joker, not Arthur Fleck, but Joker is on the Murray Franklin show. And you see him, trying to tell a joke and everything. It didn't stick that well. So you see him, like I said, there is a progression. You might not like it, but it's there. There is a progression that's there's a storm in his head. He has so much to unpack. There's a storm going up in his head that he does not really understand what is real and what is not. What I really like from his dialogue is I wish my death would make more sense than my life. Or in the trailer, and even actually in the movie, he's talking to his therapist, and keep in mind, when he's talking to his therapist, it's all grimy, it's all dirty. I'm sorry for my language. It looks like piss yellow. The walls are all brown and whatnot. Um, and there's that one particular line that he delivers, and it's like it's is my life making more sense? Is my death going to make more sense than my life? And he tells his therapist, he goes, for the longest time I never really thought I actually existed. That is where we actually get to see the Joker-esque character that is actually from the comics, that it when he is when the ambulance crashes into the cop car, we see, two guys with a clown mask on, brings him out, and he's acting like a Christ figure. He has his hands out. And the undeniable connection that everyone was so pissed off about, and it's cool, it's fine, is when he makes the smile, when he makes the smile with the blood, and they're like, "Oh, that's Heath Ledger. You can't do that." I have to disagree. Because if you look at every version of the clown aspect that he has played, he does have that smile. He does have that smile to his cheeks. It's not like, it was the first time thing that, he was like, wow, I'm going to do this. No, he's always had that. But when he does that, he feels like he actually made a difference in the city, in what he was saying and what he was doing, from the killings and everything. He believes that he actually made a statement. He actually believes that he made a movement into actually having these people go into riots. And like I said, if you go by frame of the trailers, of the movies, when you see a shot and it's shot with Arthur looking at us, from a sign perspective, it's about the clown. It's about the clown aspect. But if you turn away and the camera turns away, it's not about the clown. It's about poverty. It's about Gotham being in depression. It's about, the one percenters not caring. It's about the Gotham organization, the Gotham City, the Gotham, governor, mayor. They don't care about people like Arthur, and people like Arthur, and Zazie Beet's character, his therapist. They don't care, and that's why I love this movie, because it shows the wallowing depression of Gotham City. You have trash all over the city. It's all over the city. And when you bring that, like I said, when you bring that into fruition, it really comes, it's like, it really connects. And that is why I feel like this movie is a very, very high full price movie. Very high full price movie. It is a very recommended movie. Like I said, there have been numerous reviews and numerous people that have done this, but they're they're kind of like shying away from the actual undeniable connection that there is the, like I said, there is the melancholy of having a delusional character like Arthur Fleck, but having a delusional movie that is telling you a different story. There is a different story when he, like I said, when he becomes the Joker-esque character. He has confidence. He's more he's more jumpy, and he's more happy, he's smiling, cracking jokes, even though that it only makes sense to him, but he feels like in his mind that it's good. And that's where we get into the last scene, and jumping back and forth, that's where we get into the last scene of the movie, where you see Arthur without, I mean, sorry, with throughout the entire movie. Like I said, he has a very uncontrollable laughing disorder. In every frame from the beginning of the movie, you see him laughing uncontrollably, but it's hurting him. It's hurting his chest, it's hurting his throat. He doesn't, he has this like, he's coughing, he's grabbing his throat, whatnot. He's trying to catch his breath. At that very last scene, when he's talking to his therapist, and all the white, it's Arkham Asylum, obviously. When he's talking to his therapist, he seems so earnest. he seems so confident. He seems so, there in the moment because he actually had a beautiful laugh. A beautiful laugh. I'm not saying that it is beautiful, but he had a laughing moment. He's laughing. His therapist asks, what's so funny? And he's like, I just thought of a joke, and he starts laughing again. And it cuts out to, obviously, spoiler alert, just gotta say it, Thomas and Martha die. The alley scene. Like, I just wish that we can just stir away from this. I wish that DC would honestly just not show it and not tell it. Because we've seen it so many times. We've seen it to death, literally. It's like, how many times can we watch, Uncle Ben die? How many times can we actually see the Thomas Wayne parents die? And a lot of people, it's there, for a couple seconds and whatnot. But honestly, I do like the way that the way that they went with this scene with the Thomas family, with the Wayne family. I'm sorry, with the Wayne family. I feel like it was a lot better than what they did in Batman versus Superman. Way better than what they did, in the Dark Knight trilogy, and nothing really tops the comics. But there, that scene, when you see the guy has a gun in the alley, and he goes, you get what you deserve, Thomas Wayne. That part, I wish they would have taken out. The pearls, going flying in everywhere. I wish they would have taken that out, but it really did stick with me because there is a there, like I said, at the last scene where Joker, Arthur Fleck, is talking to his therapist, asks him, what's so funny. He thought of a joke. I do believe that is one of the possibilities, and one of the possibilities of his past, or a different version of his past, or anything like that. We may never see it. We may never hear about it because it's, like I said, it's all in his head. But it's a very good thought to know that there could be possibly a Batman in that universe.